You ever notice how desperation doesn't look desperate anymore? It looks patient. It looks loyal. It looks like I just need to give him more time. But love should never feel like a waiting room. When someone wants you, you don't have to convince them. You don't have to hint. You don't have to beg for reassurance. If they see your value, they move with intention. Sometimes we call it patience, but it's really fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of wasting time. Fear of being alone. But staying somewhere you feel uncertain year after year slowly chips away at you. You start questioning your standards. You start lowering your expectations. You start convincing yourself that bare minimum is effort. But wanting commitment isn't too much. Wanting clarity isn't too much. What's painful is realizing you might be asking the wrong person. And that's the part nobody wants to face. If someone has to be convinced to see your value, they don't truly see it. Love that requires convincing will always feel unstable. When someone is excited about you, you feel it. You don't have to beg for effort. You don't have to chase reassurance. You don't have to negotiate your worth. If you're constantly confused, that's not mystery. That's misalignment. Being alone is not the worst thing. Being unseen in a relationship is. You deserve a love that moves toward you, not a love that responds only when you apply pressure. The right person won't need years of convincing. The right person won't make commitment feel like a favor. You will feel chosen. And being chosen means clarity. Don't let time invested trap you. Don't confuse attachment with alignment. Choose standards over fear. Choose peace over potential. Choose yourself. That's not desperation. That's clarity. Can I ask you something? Why are you asking for a ring after all this time? I'm not even judging. I'm asking for real. Why do you have to bring it up? Why do you have to hint at it? Why do you have to send videos about it? So where do you see this going? If a man has been with you for years, he knows. He knows if he sees you as his wife. He knows if he's building with you. He knows if he's just comfortable. You don't have to remind a grown man what commitment looks like. And let's talk about this layaway thing. Layaway, after years, you had time. You had seasons. You had birthdays. You had tax returns. You had bonuses. And you don't want to be married because someone felt pressured. You want to be married because someone couldn't imagine losing you. That's different. And I know some of you are thinking, well, maybe he just moves slow. Okay. But how slow is slow? Because if he can move fast when it comes to what he wants, when it comes to his goals, when it comes to his hobbies, when it comes to everything else, but suddenly when it's about committing to you, he needs time? No, that's not timing. That's hesitation. And hesitation tells you everything. Why stay after he's still stringing you along? Be honest with yourself. Are you staying because you feel chosen? Or are you staying because you're afraid to walk away after investing so much? Because that's real. Nobody wants to feel like they wasted years. But staying longer doesn't make it less of a waste. It just makes it longer. The right man is not confused about you. The right man is not sitting there like, let me see, maybe in a few more years. No. When a man sees value, he locks it in. Not because you begged him, not because you threatened to leave, not because you cried, but because he wants you as his wife. And I need you to hear this part clearly. You should not have to ask a man to put a ring on your finger. You can talk about marriage. You can share your desires, but you should not have to campaign for it. You should not feel like you're convincing someone to marry you. That's not romance. That's negotiation. And I get it. Sometimes you love him. Sometimes he's good in other ways. Sometimes he says he's working on it. But years go by and you're still waiting, still hoping, still defending him to your friends, still explaining why it hasn't happened yet. Meanwhile, deep down, you're tired. Tired of asking. Tired of pretending you're okay. Tired of acting like it doesn't matter. It matters. And wanting commitment does not make you desperate. Begging for it does. If he has to put the ring on layaway because he wasn't even thinking about it until you brought it up, are you being chosen or are you being accommodated? There's a difference. The right person will see the value you bring, your loyalty, your softness, your strength, your presence. He won't need to be reminded. He won't need years to decide. He won't need pressure. He will know. And when someone knows, you feel it. You don't question it. You don't chase it. You don't beg for it. You are simply chosen. And if you're not feeling chosen, stop ignoring that. That's your clarity. Don't let a man tell you twice he's unsure about you. The first time, you're trying to understand him. The second time, you're betraying yourself. Choose you. Let's talk about the part nobody wants to admit. The fear of starting over. Because that's really what keeps you there. Not love. Not hope. Not loyalty. Fear. You're not scared of losing him. You're scared of losing the years. And that hits different. Because now you're not just walking away from a man. You're walking away from time, from memories, from plans you made in your head. From the version of the future you already told yourself was coming. And that's heavy. Starting over sounds exhausting. Meeting someone new, telling your story again, explaining what you want again, learning someone new again. It feels easier to stay. Even if staying feels small. Even if staying feels unsure. Even if staying feels like you're slowly shrinking. Because at least it's familiar. At least you know him. At least you don't have to go back into the dating world. And let's be real. There's pride too. You don't want people saying, dang, after all that time? You don't want to feel like you failed. But staying longer doesn't turn the wrong situation into the right one. It just stretches the pain. And if we're really being honest, you're not staying because you're happy. You're staying because you're scared. Scared that if you walk away now, it will all feel like it meant nothing. That's the part nobody says out loud. You don't want the years to feel wasted. You don't want the memories to feel pointless. You don't want to look back and think, what was I doing all that time? So you hold on. Not because it feels right, but because letting go feels embarrassing. You don't want to start over at this age. You don't want to explain to people what happened. You don't want to sit across from someone new and tell your story again. And that's real. Starting over feels exhausting. But let me ask you something. Is staying not exhausting? Is pretending you're okay not exhausting? Is waiting year after year not exhausting? Because at some point, staying takes more energy than leaving. You're afraid that you won't find better, that maybe this is as good as it gets, that maybe no one else will see your value. And that fear will keep you stuck longer than any man ever could. Because once you start doubting your own value, you'll tolerate anything. You'll accept delays. You'll accept excuses. You'll accept soon. And soon turns into years. If a man is unsure about you after years, he's not confused, he's comfortable. Comfortable knowing you're not going anywhere. Comfortable knowing you'll wait. Comfortable knowing you love him enough to stay. And that's where it shifts. Because now it's not about whether he chooses you. It's about whether you choose yourself. You can love someone and still admit they are not building with you. That's maturity. You can care about someone and still recognize they are not moving. That's clarity. And you don't have to be angry to walk away. You don't have to hate him. You just have to be honest. Honest that you want more. Honest that you deserve certainty. Honest that you don't want to wake up 5 years from now having the same conversation. Because time doesn't pause while you're hoping. It keeps moving. And one day you'll look up and realize you weren't being patient. You were being afraid. Starting over is scary, but staying somewhere you feel unsure, that slowly breaks you. You are not too old to start again. You are not too invested to choose differently. And you are not asking for too much. And the right man doesn't need to be convinced to intend to marry you. He doesn't need to be reminded. He doesn't need to be pressured. He sees your value, and he moves, without hesitation, without layaway, without years of maybe. Don't let fear keep you somewhere clarity is trying to pull you out of. Choose you.